It is this capacity to heal, adapt, and flourish that we now invite you to harness each and every night. As the world settles into silence and you prepare to surrender to sleep's embrace, simply cradle your elbows in your hands and let your fingertips trace those gentle circles we explored earlier. In just a few mindful minutes, you'll stoke the warmth of increased circulation, coax your body's natural lubricants back into action, and quiet the whispers of stiffness that once greeted you at dawn. Tonight, we'll guide you step by step through this ritual, revealing not only the how, but the why behind each purposeful motions, so that you can end every day knowing you've set the stage for waking up with joints that feel as light and free as they did in your prime. Imagine waking in the hushed silence of a pre-dawn hour, the world outside still wrapped in a gentle veil of darkness, as you cradle your weary joints in a quest for relief that has eluded you for too long. In the very marrow of your bones, a relentless drift has been unfolding. The cartilage that once gleamed like polished ivory, cushioning your every bend and stretch, has gradually surrendered to time's steady march. Tiny fissures have formed in its surface, akin to cracks in an ancient stone pathway, allowing the precious synovial fluid, your body's own lubricant, that once flowed with the ease of a mountain stream to dwindle until its trickle can no longer fully protect the delicate structures within your elbows. Each morning, you rise to a stiff greeting, a stubborn reminder that the joints designed for seamless motion have become battlegrounds where friction and inflammation wage war. Yet within this landscape of wear and tear lies a remarkable truth, one whispered down through generations of wise elders who discovered that in the simple act of rubbing your elbows before sleep, you can unlock a cascade of healing responses capable of reigniting the spark of flexibility. As your fingers glide over skin warmed by the night's slow descent, they stimulate tiny nerve endings that signal to your brain, "Send reinforcements." Instantly, blood rushes toward the elbow's inner sanctum, carrying oxygen and essential nutrients to chondrocytes, the tireless cells responsible for maintaining cartilage health. This surge of circulation also coaxes the cells lining the joint capsule to produce a richer blend of synovial fluid, thicker and more abundant, forming a silky shield between bone surfaces that have grown too familiar with painful friction. The gentle, circular motions you apply act like a secret key, unlocking microchannels within the tissue that facilitate the removal of metabolic waste and inflammatory byproducts, those chemical saboteurs that once whispered ache and stiffness into every movement. Night after night, as you carry out this ritual beneath the grainy glow of a bedside lamp or under the pale luminescence of the moon, a subtle transformation takes place. The joint's inner environment becomes a sanctuary of renewal rather than a battleground of degeneration. With each passing evening, your elbows respond by releasing endorphins, nature's own analgesics, so that as you drift into sleep, the familiar grip of tension loosens, replaced by a soothing warmth that cradles your arms. Come dawn, you awaken not to the usual chorus of creaks and protests, but to a quiet invitation from your shoulders. Try me. The simple act of bending, once dreaded, now carries a whisper of promise, a gentle reminder that the body, when given the right cues, still remembers how to move with grace and freedom. This ancient technique, born from generations of sages who observed the dance of life in every living creature, speaks to a profound connection between mind and matter. When you approach your body with intention and respect, signaling through touch that you honor its need for care, you set in motion an intricate symphony of biological processes aimed at preservation rather than decay. Over weeks and months, the cumulative effect of this nightly communion with your elbows reveals itself not only in enhanced joint lubrication and reduced discomfort, but in a renewed confidence that defies the notion that aging must inevitably lead to immobility. As you navigate your day reaching for a cherished book on a high shelf, lifting a teacup with the ease of old memories, or gently guiding a grandchild's hand, you carry within you the assurance that each movement is supported by a foundation strengthened from within. In this way, rubbing your elbows before bed becomes more than just a physical gesture. It transforms into a ritual of empowerment, a tangible testament to the resilience of the human body and spirit. Night after night, in the quiet solitude before sleep, you are not merely addressing symptoms, but engaging in a dialogue with your own inner wisdom, reminding yourself that age may etch lines upon our skin and calluses upon our joints, but it also bestows upon us the profound capacity to heal, adapt, and flourish. And as the afterglow of your nightly elbow massage settles into quiet contentment, another layer of relief begins to weave its magic through the fibers of your joints, cutting through the stubborn grip of stiffness that once threatened to bind your limbs before dawn. In the dim sanctuary of your bedroom, where the day's worries have been tucked away like an old quilt, the simple act of kneading and rotating your elbows releases a symphony of subtle physiological transformations that together deliver a powerful antidote to the morning rigidity so many of us dread. With each deliberate, rhythmic motion you trace along the contours of your elbow, tiny blood vessels expand, inviting a fresh surge of warm, nutrient-rich blood to flood the area. This warming current travels deep into the tendons and ligaments, loosening fibers that have stiffened under the weight of years, while simultaneously urging your body's natural anti-inflammatory agents, cortisol modulators, prostaglandin inhibitors, and soothing cytokinesto gather at the site, like seasoned peacekeepers called in to quell simmering friction. As the tissues soften under your touch, they release trapped adhesions, those microscopic bands of scar-like tissue that cling to cartilage surfaces and whisper protests of pain whenever the joint bends. Freed from these tiny shackles, your elbows regain not only greater freedom of movement, but also an enhanced capacity to absorb the gentle shock of everyday actions, reaching for a teacup, gripping the handle of your morning kettle, or simply raising your arm to wave at a neighbor across the street. Yet the benefits extend beyond mere lubrication and flexibility. By performing this ritual each night, you also activate a network of mechanoreceptor specialized nerve endings attuned to pressure and stretch along your skin and within the joint capsule. These sentinels relay a reassuring message to your central nervous system, effectively closing the gate on pain signals that might otherwise rise unchecked from inflamed tissues. In effect, your brain is coaxed into shifting attention away from aches and toward a more balanced state of comfort, allowing you to drift into deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. And because sleep itself is the body's most potent healing process, during which growth hormone surges, cellular repair intensifies, and metabolic waste is flushed away, the stage is set for an even greater reduction in joint discomfort by morning. As the night unfolds, the lingering warmth in your elbows functions like a gentle ember, maintaining the release of endogenous endorphins that wrap your arms in a soothing cloak of analgesia. These natural painkillers, produced only when the body is in a state of receptive calm, work in concert with the improved circulation to drown out persistent soreness and lull your muscles and tendons into a state of relaxed vigilance. When dawn's first light filters through your curtains, you awaken to a sensation entirely different from the dreaded pulling and creaking you once feared. Instead, you feel a pliant ease that whispers of newfound possibility. The morning becomes less a test of endurance and more an invitation to grace, as your joints bend and straighten with a fluidity that feels as though it has been reclaimed from the past. In the quiet moments before the day truly begins, you realize that this nightly ritual has forged a deeper union between mind and body. Your fingertips, through simple, attentive care, have drafted a truce between the forces of degeneration and the body's own restorative powers. Over time, this nightly communion cultivates a profound resilience, ensuring that each subsequent massage is not merely a repetition of technique, but a renewal of trust in your body's capacity to heal itself. And it is here, in this intimate space between wakefulness and slumber, that you discover the true gift of rubbing your elbows before sleep. It is more than a remedy for aching joints. It is an affirmation of your enduring strength, a testament to the idea that, even in old age, the simple act of mindful touch can awaken dormant vitality and grant you the freedom to move through each new day with confidence and joy. And now, having felt the liberating warmth and the gentle hum of relief coursing through your elbows from that soothing nightly massage, you stand on the brink of the next essential revelation: the precise art of technique. It is here, in the realm of thoughtful intention and calculated motion, that your fingertips become instruments of healing, guiding your joints back toward their former glory. Imagine, in the soft stillness before sleep, taking your right hand and placing your thumb at the tip of your elbow, just where the bony prominence meets the tender embrace of muscle and tendon. With a firmness that respects both the fragility of aged tissue and the power of deliberate touch, you press inward, never too shallow, lest you skim the surface without stirring the deeper layers, nor too deep, so as to avoid bruising sensitive areas. As you apply this steady pressure, you feel a subtle give, a gentle yielding that signals you have found the joint's sweet spot. From this point, you begin a slow, deliberate stroke outward, using the fleshy pad of your thumb to trace a semicircular arc around the elbow circumference. The movement is neither hurried nor mechanical. It is a mindful glide, guided by the contours of your own arm, as if you were drawing a perfect circle on a canvas of warm clay. With each revolution, the friction generates a barely perceptible heat that seeps into the joint space, coaxing stagnant synovial fluid to awaken from its slumber and spread more evenly across the cartilage's surface. After 3 or 4 rotations in this clockwise direction, you reverse course, shifting the compass of your massage to trace the pattern in the opposite direction. This reversal is not a mere formality. It challenges the joint sensors in a balanced way, ensuring that no single pathway of tissue remains neglected. As your thumb sweeps, your fingers fan out behind it, supporting the underside of the elbow and providing a counterpressure that deepens the effect without increasing strain. Throughout this process, you maintain a gentle but purposeful rhythm, feeling for subtle changes in resistance, as if listening to your elbow whisper secrets of tightness and release. After you have drawn these circular patterns for a full minute or more, enough time to allow the tissue to respond, but not so long that fatigue sets in, you transition to another essential movement, the kneading stroke. Here, you position your index and middle fingers on either side of the joint, pressing inward with alternating pulses, much like the way a baker works dough to coax elasticity from the gluten strands. With each press and release, you sense tiny adhesions breaking free, microscopic fibers unlocking their tension, until the once rigid joint begins to soften under your touch. As you knead, you may notice a faint, comforting sound, akin to the sigh of wind through ancient trees, as the synovial fluid shifts and realigns within the capsule. This is the body's very own symphony of repair, and you are both conductor and participant, guiding each note toward harmony. Next comes the sweeping glide, a movement designed to stretch and elongate the ligaments that cradle your elbow. You cradle your forearm with one hand, applying a light upward traction, while the other hand moves along the path from the wrist toward the elbow, applying a sliding pressure that runs along the length of the forearm muscles. This stretch-like motion trains the soft tissues to accommodate a greater range of motion, preventing the joint from slipping into its all-too-familiar defensive posture of contraction. As you hold each glide for a slow count of 5, you feel the fibers lengthen, and you imagine them as threads of silk, drawn taut and then released, primed to return to a more supple state with each night's practice. Throughout this deeply tactile ritual, timing is your ally. 2 to 3 minutes on each side, right then left, provides sufficient stimulus without overwhelming the joint's capacity for repair. If you encounter any spot that feels particularly tender or resistant, linger there for an extra rotation or 2, using that slight discomfort as a compass to navigate toward areas most in need of attention. Yet always balance persistence with compassion. Should genuine pain arise, ease back the pressure until you rediscover the gentle threshold where healing begins without overstepping into aggravation. As your hands complete their final sequence of strokes, you perform a closing ritual to seal in the benefits. Using both hands, you sweep from the wrist toward the shoulder, drawing a path of warmth that connects the entire limb in a single, fluid surge. This final gesture serves as a caress that unifies the individual movements into a coherent whole, like the final brushstroke on an artist's masterpiece. And as you release your arms, you take a moment to breathe deeply, inhaling the quiet satisfaction of having honored your body's needs, and exhaling any residual tension that might linger in your mind. It is in the precision of these techniques of pressure, direction, duration, and sequence that the true power of the nightly elbow ritual reveals itself. Each motion builds upon the last, orchestrating a cascade of physiological responses that extend far beyond simple comfort. By mastering these deliberate, intentional movements, you awaken mechanoreceptors that recalibrate the joint sensitivity, you normalize the balance of lubricating fluid, and you foster an environment where inflammation can no longer thrive unchecked. Night after night, this practice becomes a silent testament to your resilience, a proof that age may change the way our bodies respond, but never extinguishes the potential for renewal. As you let your arms rest at your sides and surrender to sleep, your body carries forward the momentum you have generated, translating your mindful craftsmanship into a morning of ease, strength, and the quiet triumph of moving freely once more. With the art of nightly elbow massage now woven into the fabric of your bedtime ritual, imagine taking that tender care a step further by inviting gentle motion and mindful habits to join the symphony of renewal. As you rise from sleep's embrace, carry over the warmth still lingering in your joints by opening your window just enough to let in a breath of dawn's crisp air. Standing tall yet relaxed, press your palms together before your chest, fingers pointing upward like twin candles of light kindled within you. Inhale slowly, allowing your elbows to spread outward, wrists meeting at the center, and feel the subtle stretch along your triceps, a whisper of invitation to muscles grown stiff with time to awaken. Exhale, drawing your elbows back toward your ribcage, as though you are gently closing wings that have weathered many skies, and sense the ligaments that cradle the joint responding with gratitude. Repeat this simple opening movement 5 times, each cycle less mechanical and more meditative, as you cultivate a deeper awareness of how mobility and touch can coalesce into a single act of self-care. Next, transition seamlessly into a flowing sequence of shoulder rolls, those circular arcs that release tension from the entire arm complex. With fingertips grazing the tops of your shoulders, trace slow, deliberate circles backward, imagining you are stirring liquid gold within your muscle tissues, coaxing it to flow smoothly around every fiber. Pause when you feel a gentle resistance there. At the junction of tendon and bone, and hold your hand there for 3 slow counts, letting gravity and your own supportive touch coax the tightness into softening. Then complete the circle, guiding your elbow around as though sketching an ancient rune of strength upon the air. Reverse direction and repeat, each rotation unlocking another fragment of stiffness until your shoulders and elbows become partners in a dance of liberation. Hydration, too, becomes part of this integrated practice. Before you begin any physical movement, lift a glass of cool water infused with a slice of lemon or a sprig of mint, and drink it in mindful sips. Feel the liquid trace a path through your throat down into your core, reminding every cell that nourishment is not only found in food, but in the simple, life-giving act of quenching your body's thirst. The water you drink in the morning sets the tone for synovial fluid production within your joints, ensuring that when you roll, bend, and stretch, the cartilage sits like a boat buoyed upon a still pond rather than scraping along a dry riverbed. In the golden light of early day, weave in small bursts of movement that celebrate functional strength. Reach your arms overhead, as if plucking apples from a distant branch. Then lower them slowly behind you, letting your hands meet in a gentle clasp between your shoulder blades. Feel the muscles around your elbows lengthen and your chest open like a flower turning toward the sun. As you release, draw your elbows forward and down, pressing your palms against your thighs to create a counterbalance, grounding yourself in both body and earth. Each transition between expansion and contraction reminds your nervous system that mobility is not an occasional treat, but a birthright to be exercised daily. Nutrition plays its own starring role in this saga of sustained agility. As you prepare your breakfast, consider topping your oatmeal or yogurt with a handful of walnuts, chia seeds, or flax meal, those humble powerhouses brimming with omega-3 fatty acids that travel through your bloodstream to your joint linings, providing the raw materials for less inflammation and more cushioning. Picture every spoonful as a message to your cells. We intend to move freely today. Savor the taste of wholesome grains, the crunch of seeds, and the gentle sweetness of fresh berries or sliced banana. And let this mindful eating ritual reinforce the message that caring for your joints is not confined to moments of pain relief, but is woven into every decision you make, from what you place on your plate to how you place your feet upon the floor. Throughout the day, honor the simple power of micro breaks. If you find yourself seated, whether at the breakfast table, in a favorite armchair, or while reading the morning paper, set an alarm for every 30 minutes. When it chimes, stand up and give yourself permission to move. Roll your shoulders, shake your arms like tree branches caught in a light breeze, and let your elbows swing gently in front of you. These pauses interrupt the slow creep of joint stiffness, ensuring that the night's massage does not dissipate like dew in the sun, but is reinforced by moments of fluid motion that remind your tissues they are meant for bending, extending, and rotating. Posture, often dismissed as the domain of dancers and yogis, becomes a silent ally in your campaign for joint health. When you walk, visualize a string pulling you upward from the crown of your head, elongating your spine while your shoulders glide back and down. Keep your elbows soft, never locked, allowing a slight bend that keeps the joint alive with micro movements and constant lubrication. Shoulders relaxed, arms swing naturally by your sides, the elbows serving as fulcrums of effortless motion rather than rigid hinges. In every step, you reinforce a message to your body that movement is fluid, energy is unbroken, and age is no barrier to graceful mobility. As evening approaches, circle back to the ritual that began this journey, the nightly elbow massage, but now enriched by the day's purposeful actions. Recline in a comfortable chair or sit on the edge of your bed, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Feel the blend of warmed muscles, nourished cartilage, and an entire day of mindful movement converging at the joints you honor each night. When your fingertips once again begin their circular and kneading strokes, they are no longer isolated gestures, but the finale of a living tapestry, where massage, motion, hydration, nutrition, posture, and micro breaks have all contributed to an environment of regeneration. Over weeks and months, this integrative approach reveals its power in ways both subtle and profound. You awaken not only with less stiffness, but with a quiet confidence that your body has become a partner in this sacred dance. Tasks that once required effort now feel like gentle invitations. Reaching for a loved one's hand, lifting a cherished photograph from a shelf, or simply extending your arms wide to welcome a new day. In combining the art of touch with intentional movement and lifestyle steps that honor your joints around the clock, you transcend the notion that aging must equate to decline. Instead, you unlock a narrative of enduring vitality, where each choice, be it the turn of a shoulder, the sip of water, or the spoonful of seed sads, another triumphant sentence to the story of your body's resilience. And as you lay your head down each night, you do so with the knowledge that the next morning's first motion will be greeted not by resistance, but by the eager, lithe embrace of arms that remember exactly how to move. Yet the true magic of this nightly elbow ritual reveals itself only when it is woven into the fabric of your life with steadfast attention and wise restraint. It is this final chapter, the art of knowing when, how often, and under what circumstances to perform your massage, that will determine whether your commitment blossoms into enduring resilience or fades into a forgotten novelty. Listen closely, for these are the whispers of your body, guiding you toward a harmonious balance between effort and ease. First, honor your own rhythm. In the beginning, it is tempting to believe that more must surely be better. More minutes of kneading, more pressure, more nights in a row of unrelenting devotion. Yet the tissues you seek to nourish remember the folly of overindulgence. They require time to absorb the benefits of each session, to rebuild and reinforce the delicate collagen networks within your joint capsule. Thus, for most, a nightly ritual of 2 to 3 minutes per elbow, performed 5 or 6 times per week, offers the golden mean between challenge and recovery. On those rare nights when you feel your elbows whispering in tender protest, perhaps after a day of unexpected exertion, a garden full of pruning, or an impromptu game of catch with grandchildren, grant yourself the grace of a lighter touch, or take a restorative pause, focusing instead on a warm compress or the gentle sweep of a moist towel. By listening and responding to these subtle cues, you cultivate a dialogue of respect with your body, one that yields trust and deepened cooperation over time. Always remember that your massage must never become a chore driven by guilt or rigid obligation. Instead, let it be a moment of calm reflection, a gift you bestow upon yourself amid the closing cadence of the day. Choose a time when your mind is free from distraction after the dishes have been put away, following your evening tea, once the house has settled into its nocturnal hush. Let the soft glow of a bedside lamp or the flicker of candlelight serve as a gentle herald that it is time to attend to your joints. As you cradle each elbow in your hands, breathe deeply, drawing the breath down to your belly. On each exhale, allow any worries or tensions from the day to drift away, leaving your limbs open to the healing touch you are about to offer. Precision in pressure is paramount. Too light, and the benefits fail to penetrate beyond the skin's surface. Too firm, and you risk aggravating inflamed tissue. Seek out that sweet spot of firm comfort, where you can feel the warmth building beneath your fingertips without any jarring discomfort. Should you encounter a particularly sensitive pacha, small knot of resistance, or a fleeting twingeling there briefly, employing a feather-light motion that encourages release rather than force. Over time, you will discover that each elbow develops its own portrait of textures and subtle needs, and you will grow adept at adjusting the angle, pace, and intensity of your strokes to meet those unique demands. Equally important is the consistency of your commitment. Just as the ocean's patient waves carve out shores over decades, so too does your nightly ritual sculpt more fluid, resilient joints with every repetition. Keep a simple journal by your bed, noting the nights you perform your massage and recording any sensations of relief or lingering stiffness the next morning. This practice of mindful tracking need not become an onerous task. Rather, it offers clarity and encouragement. As you witness patterns of progress, those early mornings marked by gentle ease, where once there were groans of protest, and the afternoons of reaching, lifting, or typing at the computer devoid of the dull ache that once accompanied every motion. Yet even the most disciplined routine must yield to the wisdom of rest. Once a week, consider granting your elbows a Sabbath, a night of quiet repose without massage, allowing the tissues an unhurried day of natural healing, free from external manipulation. On these nights, you might soothe your joints with a warm Epsom salt soak, where magnesium-rich water seeps into the skin to calm inflammation and ease muscle tension. Afterward, wrap your arms in soft cotton sleeves to retain the warmth and ease into a restful night's sleep. Never overlook the role of your broader health context. If you are managing conditions such as arthritis, flare-ups, high blood pressure, or circulatory challenges, consult with your trusted healthcare provider to tailor your massage practice accordingly. They may advise gentle stretches instead of deep kneading on days when inflammation flares, or recommend specific anti-inflammatory nutrition to support your joint care from the inside out. In this way, your nightly ritual becomes not a standalone remedy, but a key pillar in a holistic strategy of wellness that integrates physical touch with medical guidance, balanced movement, and nourishing rest. And so you arrive at a place of mature understanding that consistency without recklessness, precision without rigidity, and commitment tempered by compassion are the hallmarks of a truly effective practice. Over months and years, this artful balance will yield dividends that transcend the immediate comfort of reduced stiffness and pain. You will move through life with a quiet confidence, free to lift a grandchild, to paint a sunrise scene in watercolors, to carry plates of home-cooked food to the family table, all without the shadow of joint tension dampening your pleasure. At last, when you close your eyes each night, your hands have done more than caress bone and sinew. They have reinforced a covenant with your own vitality. With each precise stroke and every conscious pause, you affirm that growing older does not consign you to a fate of increasing immobility, but invites you to discover new depths of self-care, self-knowledge, and resilience. The gentle frequency of your massage, rooted in wisdom and guided by patience, ensures that your elbows remain portals of motion rather than gateways of pain, and that each dip and lift of your arms carries the promise of an active, joyful tomorrow. As each dip and lift of your arms carries the promise of an active, joyful tomorrow, remember that this practice truly belongs to you and your journey toward lifelong vitality. I'd love to hear how your own evenings transform once you weave this simple ritual into your bedtime routine. Share your experiences below so we can learn from one another. If you found these insights helpful, tap the like button and subscribe for more age-defying tips to keep your body moving with ease. Here's tonight's filled with healing touch and mornings greeted by lightning agile joints.